Every day, billions of us pull out our smartphones and unlock them without a second thought. It is an automatic reflex. But when that device is snatched away in a crowd, the reflex turns into panic. That single pane of glass holds a complete map of your life. Banking applications, password managers, private messages, and your entire digital identity are suddenly sitting right there in a thief's hands. Keeping those details safe comes down to two very different mechanisms. First, there is authentication, the process of proving you are who you say you are. Then there is encryption, the mathematical scrambling that actually protects the data stored on the hard drive. When someone with malicious intent tries to bypass your lock screen, the method you chose to authenticate yourself becomes the only thing standing in their way. We are going to test every major security layer to see if your data is actually secure, or just hiding behind a fragile digital door. This device represents the baseline of mobile security. Early mobile phones relied entirely on physical keypads, meaning their only lock was a numeric PIN. Modern smartphones handle those numbers differently today. They don't store your actual PIN. Instead, they run your code through an algorithm to generate a cryptographic hash, a long string of characters that cannot be easily reverse engineered. Even with that mathematical protection, a standard 4 or 6-digit PIN has a finite number of possible combinations. Software tools can cycle through every single permutation until they find the match, bypassing the hash entirely. The math rarely has to work that hard. People are remarkably predictable. Attackers consistently find success by inputting the most common sequences, like 1111, 1234, or birth years. To speed up the unlock process, Android introduced the pattern lock. Users draw a continuous line connecting a sequence of dots on a 3x3 grid. But dragging a finger across a glass screen leaves physical evidence. Attackers can hold the screen up to the light to see the residual grease smudge, or use a thermal camera to detect the heat left by a finger moments after the phone is set down. Pins and patterns prioritize speed. However, they rely on human memory and physical interaction, leaving visible traces and behavioral habits that are easily exploited. To remove human memory from the equation, manufacturers turn to biometric characteristics you carry with you. Over the years, this has evolved from optical scanners that take a 2D picture, to capacitive sensors that measure electrical current, and finally to ultrasonic sensors that map three-dimensional depth using sound waves. This schematic shows how the fingerprint enrollment process actually works. The phone never saves an image of your physical print. It extracts specific data points from the ridges and converts them into a mathematical map of intersections, storing only that encrypted geometric template. Every time you touch the sensor, the software generates a temporary new map. The matching algorithm compares this new data against the stored template, and if a high enough percentage aligns, the device unlocks. The weakness of capacitive and optical sensors lies in the physical world. If someone lifts a clean print from a glass surface, they can create a high-resolution mold. A simple cast made from silicone or everyday gelatin possesses enough physical depth and electrical conductivity to trick these sensors into registering a match. Ultrasonic sensors were developed to close this loophole. By sending high-frequency sound waves into the skin, they measure not just the surface ridges, but the internal pore structure. Many modern iterations also include liveness detection, analyzing pulse and blood flow to confirm the finger is attached to a living person. Biometric fingerprint readers successfully eliminate the risk of someone guessing a passcode over your shoulder. Yet, because we leave our fingerprints on nearly everything we touch, they can still be defeated by a highly motivated attacker with the right materials. The shift toward edge-to-edge displays forced the industry to rethink biometric placement entirely, leading to the deployment of facial recognition. This animation illustrates the hardware array hidden at the top of the display. When active, an infrared projector casts a grid of over 30,000 invisible dots across the user's face, measuring the exact microtopography of the eyes, nose, and jawline. The system's neural engine reads this three-dimensional depth map. Because it relies on infrared light rather than standard cameras, the scan is perfectly accurate in pitch darkness, and the machine learning algorithms adapt to changes like new glasses, hats, or growing a beard. The security community immediately tested this barrier against modern spoofing techniques. High-resolution flat photographs fail immediately because they lack physical depth. Detailed 3D printed masks lack the biological micromovements, and AI-generated deepfakes cannot bypass the specialized infrared hardware requirement. To prevent someone from unlocking the device while the owner is asleep or looking away, the system requires attention awareness. The sensors actively verify that the user's eyes are open and looking directly at the screen before authorizing access. By combining precise depth mapping with active liveness checks, 3D facial recognition provides an incredibly robust defense, effectively neutralizing both analog replicas and digital manipulation. But verifying identity at the lock screen is only the first half of the equation. Successfully tricking a sensor does not mean the data is instantly readable. This diagram reveals the hardware architecture protecting your files. Modern smartphones feature a physically separate subsystem on the motherboard, known as a secure enclave or trusted execution environment. It operates completely independently from the main operating system. When a biometric match is approved, the sensor sends a signal to this isolated vault. The secure enclave verifies the request and releases a localized, hardware-bound cryptographic key. Only then is the storage drive actively unencrypted and made available to the processor. This creates a structural choke point. Even if an attacker physically extracts the storage drive from the phone, the data remains scrambled. Without the specific secure enclave releasing its unique decryption key, the information is effectively useless. This matrix ranks the primary methods we've explored. While pattern locks sit at the bottom due to their physical vulnerabilities, ultrasonic fingerprint scanning offers a strong middle ground. At the very top, 3D facial recognition provides the most rigorous combination of convenience and anti-spoofing technology. While biometrics handle daily access, they function as front-end identifiers. After a reboot or multiple failed scans, the operating system defaults back to the numeric PIN. This simple sequence of digits remains the primary authorization required to release the hardware decryption keys from the secure enclave. Securing a device requires patching that human vulnerability. Rely on biometrics for everyday speed, but pair them with a randomly generated 6-digit numeric PIN. Avoid dates, repeating numbers, or patterns on the keypad. Authentication works by raising the cost of an attack until the effort required outweighs the value of the data. Advanced sensors provide the physical barrier, but the durability of that protection ultimately rests on individual digital habits.